What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Malena Edit. We are jumping into an NFL Week 1 recap. I talk so much with my hands. When I'm editing these videos, every single clip just starts with, why? Why is that? Sorry about it, guys. But I am so excited to finally be getting back into football. Monday night's game was a roller coaster of emotions. We're going to talk about that and so much more. I'm going to do my best not to make all the hot takes, but we're going to have some fun with it. I mean, you have to kind of jump on it. Obviously, we know we're not going to know who these teams are for a few weeks, but it's fun. It's fun to talk about what we saw in week 1. There was a lot. Let's jump into it. Starting it off with the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. This was the most shocking game for me because I was so high on the Bills going into this season and low on the Steelers for the second season in the row. Been low on the Steelers overall and Big Ben. And both of those points were proven wrong early. Pittsburgh looked good across the board. Obviously, the defense was sickening, just perfection. And I should have expected that. And everybody said it, but I still wasn't fully bought in. I have no idea why. And as far as Big Ben, I think he looked so good out there. I love that they have so many pieces for him to spread the ball around to. I feel like that was my main takeaway from so many teams that I was intrigued by or pleasantly surprised by in week 1. I love that they have a diverse group of receivers and targets to get the ball to. I think Ben looked really comfortable. He looked like a veteran quarterback, which is to be expected. But again, I was low on him going into the season. And then on the other side, Josh Allen, just not the Josh Allen of 2020. So I need him to bring that energy back. Such a fun game. That this was the main game that I was watching during that early slate, and it did not disappoint. While that Pittsburgh-Buffalo game was on, I had like a little side eye on the Philadelphia Eagles at the Atlanta Falcons. Why do these teams, I feel like these teams play each other a lot. Am I crazy? Like in my mind, there's some like rivalry there. So I just had like a little eye on that game. And I think Philly looked really good. Another team that I was kind of calling for the Giants to really establish themselves out of the NFC East this year. Trying my best not to jinx the Cowboys as a Cowboys fan, but this Eagles team looks good. And I did think that Jalen Hurts was going to look good going into this season. I think too many people are low on him and his former teammate in Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, so strong start for the Eagles. Curious when they face the Niners this week if they continue that. I will be keeping my eye on that, if it was real or just for show. And of course, the O-line is reestablished there. Lots to keep posted on. What am I saying as we go through the season? I hope you understand what I'm saying. Jumbled words. It's kind of late today. Next up, the Cleveland Browns went to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. And whoa, this was like the game where fans in the stands was almost most impactful between there and Vegas, but we'll get to that one. Yeah, it was like a college football atmosphere, which is incredible to see in the NFL. Really, really cool to see them make that impact on the game. Those last couple of drives, Baker Mayfield just wasn't able to pull it off, and that's unfortunate because he played such a strong game. Kevin Stefanski called such a great game, but it's almost encouraging for Browns fans. I hate saying that because it's so tough. I feel like a lot of these AFC teams we've seen over the past few years, you're like, oh, well, it's encouraging that you played the Chiefs like that. Yeah, but you have to play mistake-free football against the Chiefs or they're always in it. And this was proof of that. Obviously, the Nick Chubb fumble really sucked. Like, he's such a good running back. And that really sucked. And it's like you don't even want to blame him because it's not like he always makes these major mistakes. But one mistake like that versus the Chiefs and you're done. They can get back in it. While the Browns-Chiefs was on, I had a little eye on the New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers at the New Orleans Saints. Another big storyline coming out of this week with tons of week 1 hot takes. I'll start with the Saints. Is Sean Payton the coach that we thought Bill Belichick was? Incredible improvement from Jameis Winston. I definitely did not think that was going to happen. I thought the New Orleans Saints were going to derail out of this season, and they look so good through week 1. Well, that's not saying much. Thought it was interesting that Juwan Johnson stepped up in that receiving position, the converted tight end with the absence of Michael Thomas. And then the Green Bay Packers. I don't even know. I don't have much to say there. Like, Aaron, was that one? That just was not an Aaron Rodgers performance. Or maybe he's not that good anymore. I don't know. no comment. Sunday nightcap was the Chicago Bears taking on the Los Angeles Rams, and I feel like I had deja vu through this entire game. It was like rinse repeat, the same game as last year, essentially. Yeah, I think David Montgomery just had to put this entire team on his back. I think that Bears defense is exhausted. I think some of those mistakes I find excusable. I think they're tired of having to be the sole group winning their team games or keeping their team in games. I feel so bad for them. Like, I really feel bad for that defense. I do think we see Fields going into like week 4, I think is when their schedule starts to lighten up. And that's what so many people were saying before even the season. I do think we see that switch happen. Not that Andy Dalton looked bad or played bad, but yeah. We'll see him, and it'll be time for that change in Chicago. As far as the McVay-Stafford union, I really do think it's the perfect marriage, but it excites me so much because you don't get to see that happen. Sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, he was a great player and his situation sucked and he never got a ring. And to see him put in a position where he actually can go get the ring, like now anything that happens after this, it's just like, hey, it kind of falls on you. But I think there's so many careers that we can name in sports where you're like, he was so good and he deserved a ring. So I think it's super cool for him to be put in this position. It's so exciting to see. I think that's why it's such a fun storyline. Another just group of underrated pieces there between there, Pittsburgh, and Vegas. Receiving cores, including tight end, that are just wonderful. Like, we don't really think about them when we're listing those top receiving groups, but they are definitely up there. And then that defense, just beautiful. And we round out the recap with Monday Night Football, the Baltimore Ravens at the Las Vegas Raiders. What an emotional roller coaster. This is why we love football. Starting with the Ravens. Lamar, you have to stop fumbling in critical moments. I will give credit, though, to that Raiders defense because it was a forced fumble. But it just gets me because I know he is such a great quarterback. And to that point, looked so much better even in the pocket this year, but is still an absolute cheat code when he's on the move. This is everything that you like knew he could be and knew like veteran Lamar would be able to start to get more comfortable, see the field better, all of the things. Another guy that impressed me on Monday night, Marquise Hollywood Brown. Huge to see him show up in those moments as that target wide receiver. I think I expected it, especially with the addition of Rashad Bateman occupying some defenders. I expected him to be able to step up. Obviously, we're not seeing that just yet because of Rashad Bateman's injury, but it was so encouraging to see Hollywood making those plays in big moments. As far as the Raiders, I was hoping that they would get this win so that they wouldn't like curse Allegiant Stadium starting out there with fans. So it took some time to get there, emotional roller coaster, but they got the win. That's all that matters. Really impressed with their defensive improvement. I think it's the improvement they wanted to see, we're aiming to see in 2020, and made a big impact coming into week 1. We'll see how that looks going forward. And then that receiving group is just insanely another just like fun, a bunch of like mishmash names almost. And Hunter Renfrow, Zay Jones. I mean, if you watched the championship, college football championship of years ago, you know Hunter Renfrow is that guy. Zay Jones, Brian Edwards, Darren Waller. Like names that you're not thinking of as these star highlight names, but pieces that they can get that ball to. And I think it's just fun to watch. It makes it almost more intriguing because it's not a star-studded group. Yeah, eyes on the Raiders going forward. I mean, they have some things to clean up, obviously, but it was interesting. That's my word. NFL Week 2 preview. These are the games that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on this week. Starting it off with the Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins. Does Buffalo bounce back this week? And as for Miami, we've seen the progress that they've kind of been making behind the scenes, but now is the time where we should start to see it emerge on the field and in the form of wins. They should really be establishing themselves now as playoff competitors. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on that Cowboys defense this week. Was that progress we saw in week 1 real, or was it just a little week 1 fluke? And then on the other side, Brandon Staley, the new head coach of the Chargers, obviously came from the defensive side of the ball, so he'll have his hands full with the pieces on that Cowboys offense. And finally, the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens. I feel like these are like the rivalries now of the 2020s, those young AFC quarterbacks trying to take down Patrick Mahomes. So whether it's the Ravens or the Bills or the Browns, can one of these guys we're all constantly going to be watching is now the time where they can beat Mahomes. That does it for my week 1 recap. I'm going to put more of my picks for Sunday right over here. Also going to be keeping an eye on if Tennessee gets on track. I can't even say like back on track, like on track. Because what happened in week 1 versus the Seahawks this weekend. Let me know what games you guys will be watching. I appreciate you guys watching and liking and commenting. Talk to me down in the comments below. Subscribe if you're not already. What are you doing? And I'll talk to you guys next week.